Algebra 2. Our objectives for today are learning how to find do-nows, lessons, exit tickets, and homework on Schoology. And then you will also use function notation to evaluate functions. Schoology tutorial, we're going to review the following: how to find updates, how to find materials, and then how to find events and office hours. So now if I go to Schoology, this is your page. Any important update will be posted here. That's where you can get any information. Usually it'll have a link to the Zoom or any change in schedule, but there shouldn't be any change in schedule hopefully coming up. There should be our set schedule from now on. There's an updates page, so if you do need more detail on that update, just click updates. But the main important part is in this folder, assignments during school closure. You will find everything you need during this time. It obviously signed me out, so let me go ahead and come back in, but period 4. So in this folder, as I was saying, you click in here, and then you'll find the 10-day packet. So let's say you lost it, you can't find it, that's where you would find the packet. And then there's this folder, so work for today, then there's work for the next session on Thursday, and then there's the homework link. So let's go ahead and look at this folder. So there's a do now. Remember, do nows are supposed to be done before class. I know that today is different because I'm just explaining it to you. So just get it done as soon as you can. But if you see it says do now for this date, that means if there's class today, you should be doing this do now before that date. So this one was due before this class. Obviously, like I said, you didn't know that yet. So this one, don't worry about it not being done yet. Just get it done as soon as you can. The other important part here is the exit ticket. So your exit ticket, make sure to do that after class. Each one's only 2 questions, so it should take you no more than 5 minutes. Like, they're really quick questions. Just try to do your best, though, because they are graded assignments. And then it says lesson algebra 2. This is another way to get onto Zoom. So let's say that other link isn't working. You can try to click through here. But after this lesson, this will be gone. And instead, I'll put a video of what I'm recording right now. So that way, if you want to watch the lesson again, you can. So let's go back to that place. You'll find another folder. So each week you'll find the same thing. So this is a work for Thursday. It also has a do now, a lesson, and an exit ticket. And then again, there's a homework assignment. This is for both dates. So it's only 8 questions. That one you're expected to do by next class, but not next class, sorry, the following week. And I'll explain that more at the end. Now, when you're on that first page, the other thing I wanted you guys to look at is this section right here. So it tells you when office hours are. So it tells you that upcoming, there are office hours Wednesday, April 1st at 2 o'clock. So that's going to be me, Ms. Ducharme, Ms. Varney, and Ms. James. If you guys have any questions, and I'll answer your question right now. If you guys have any questions about office hours, go ahead and come on in during those times, and then I'll go ahead and answer any questions you might have. If I click on this office hours event, you'll notice that it tells you the date and times for office hours. And then if you click on that, it gives you on the link for that Zoom for those office hours. So you just stop by, you ask any questions. If you need help with anything, that's the perfect time to come on in and do that, okay? Let me go ahead and pause this. Okay, so that's it right now for Schoology. Now let's go into the actual math lesson for today. All right, so as you can see, I brought with me my lovely, lovely tool that I love because you guys know that this helps me write. That's awesome. We're gonna look into function notation. So what's function notation? Let's look at this real quick. And then I want you guys to notice something, okay? So I'm gonna replace the X value. So let me see if I can type, there we go, okay. So this X value, notice I didn't put it in here, okay? Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace it with some hearts, all right? So notice that it's the same thing that we have here, but this one has X and this one has hearts instead. Now let's look at this function. Okay. So we're going to replace it instead with that little smiley face. So again, notice that instead of an X, we have that little smiley face. And instead of an X, we're going to put smiley faces. There's only two X's, so if you look, the equation then becomes that. If you notice, the X became that smiley face, that X became that smiley face, that X became that smiley face. This time we're putting an A in place of the X. So hopefully you guys are noticing a pattern that your X becomes whatever's inside that parentheses. So in this X, right, that's going to become an A. So it becomes 3A plus 1. Notice that everything else stays the same. The only thing that changes is whatever was inside that parentheses, it changed into that. Meaning if that was an X and it changed into an A, all the X's change into A's. Okay. So if we look at this one again, look at the X. So let's find all our X's. And now we're going to replace the function, and this is to pronounce the function of 3. Okay, that became a 3. So that means that all of these are going to become 3. Obviously, my arrows are a little bit off, but hopefully you get the point. Okay. So again, look for your X. Everything else stays the same. We're going to do the function of, this time it's a number, the function of 10. So when we're looking at this, notice that any X value was replaced by a 10. Okay. So if we look at this equation, now this one does look a little bit different, but it's the same exact thing. So instead of using that, I'm going to use a highlighter. Notice there's an X, there's an X here, and there's an X here. So what happens? Well, that X now becomes all of that. So each X is going to become that same thing. So if you look at it, notice that this first X, we put that in. So what's going to come after that? Well, we keep everything else the same. We keep the squared, we keep the plus. This X becomes X plus H. And then everything else stays the same. So if we're looking at, again, using my arrows, that becomes that, and that becomes that. Everything else stays the same. All right, so looking at this, it says, okay, another puzzle, can you figure out what this notation means? So this one, I'll do it with you guys. If it says function -2, remember, what does, inside the parentheses, what do we usually see? We usually see an X. So if we look at -2 as our X, remember this is X. And then we look for 4, that's that point. Notice this is your X and this is your Y. This is your X, -1. So what would your Y be? 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5, like 3.5. Same thing, f of 0. This is an X. This is your Y. 0, 3. And your last one, again, this is your X, this is your Y. 2, -1. So we go 2, -1. All right, so this is where I'm going to have you guys practice with me. Let me go ahead and pause this. Okay, so as you guys can see, we did practice a few problems, and then these are the responses to these problems. Hopefully you got a chance to practice those by yourself. On this side, we just had a few extra additional practice problems. And then what's next? So if I, oh, there we go. So what's next? So after today's class, you are expected to go back and do that do now for today. You're expected to complete the exit ticket for today. Again, they're each 2 questions, so they should be really quick. So if you have some time right after this class, get it done just so you can get that out the way. And then before class on Thursday, try to complete the do now. There's a do now. Don't do the exit ticket yet. Just do the do now for April 2nd. Okay? As far as questions go, if you do have any questions, we will be having office hours for this. We will be having office hours for a lot of your classes on Wednesdays and Fridays from 2 to 3 p.m. Okay. So again, just go to that link that I had where I showed you the events. There's office hour events on Schoology, and that'll take you to the link for the Zoom meeting in which you will have office hours. That's pretty much just for you to stop by and ask any questions that you may have so you can get additional help. So it's kind of like the tutorial lab that we usually do. So if you have an Algebra 2 tutorial lab, instead of having a lab, there's office hours for you guys to get additional help. Okay. All right, and that's the end of our lesson for today. So let me go ahead and stop recording.